The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the Bliss Business Podcast, where we explore how to build love into scalable systems. I'm Steven Sakash here again with Mike Liskey and Tulio Siragusa. Hey, guys.
Hey, Steven, good to see you again.
Let's do it.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, so today we're diving into a question that is sort of reshaping the business world. It's what does your brand stand for? Or I guess better said, why does your brand exist? Because if you answer that question, answer it just to make money, you're already losing. It can't be just for that.
You know, Mike, in 3 decades, going on 4 decades, every company that I've worked with or that helped scale from startups to even unicorns, the one thing that has always been clear, without purpose, growth is hollow. You can still have growth without purpose, but it's hollow. And revenue doesn't equal relevance. And customers can feel the difference. So purpose is what gives growth its soul.
Yeah, and consumers, they're craving more than products. They're craving purpose. They don't want transactions. They want transformation. They want to connect with brands that stand for something real. And we're seeing more and more of that.
So we're going to look into this power of purpose a little bit more today, and not just this sort of feel good value, but really because it's a strategic imperative that organizations are facing today. And there's good reason, that I can say that. In fact, there was a study that was done recently. It was called "Why Purpose-Driven Retail Wins." And the researchers that were doing this, they called the economy now the experience economy, because customers aren't just buying products. They're looking for brands that align, number one, with their values and give them a meaningful experience. In fact, so this study, it was done by Nielsen back in 2023, said that 73% of the consumers say that they're willing to pay more for products that promise sustainability and purpose, right? And in fact, another study that was done, this one called the Purpose Study, found that brands with a clear purpose grow 2.5 times faster than their competitors. So again, the statistics are showing this, but we'll really today reveal how purpose differentiates one brand from another, how it helps align customers with an organization's values, and also really starts to build that long-term loyalty that organizations really need and really look for today. And we'll even share a couple of examples of purpose-driven brands that actually went pretty viral. So, and again, this is all about not just having people sold to or looking at transactions, but really because this power of purpose helps organizations to resonate very deeply.
Yeah, we could call this episode High Purpose, High Impact, because purpose isn't just about doing good. It's about driving growth, inspiring loyalty, and creating movements that matter.
Yeah, and as an organization, if you're really looking to lead with purpose, resonate with real meaning, and build a brand that people believe in, then this episode is one that you'll definitely want to listen to, not just once, but probably multiple times.
So let's start with the problem. Marketing is noisy. Every brand is competing for attention, but attention is no longer enough. People don't just want to buy, they want to belong. They're not just looking for products, they're looking for meaning.
And you know what? That's really where purpose comes in. It's not a marketing slogan. Its purpose is a strategic differentiator. Is what sets you apart because it speaks to the heart, not just the wallet. And it connects on a deeper level because it's not about what you sell, but it's about why you exist. And people are already looking for why you exist. So it's really creating that connection with people as well when you have this in place.
Yeah, and here's the truth. Purpose-driven brands, they don't just stand out. They stand for something. So they resonate because they share, whether it's values, beliefs, or vision for a better world. They build tribes, right? Not just customer bases. They create movements, not just markets. So, and I think one of the myths around purpose is that it has to be something like, say, that's tied to a charity or social cause. It can be, but you can find purpose in serving others in different ways. I think of this example of a parking lot attendant who doesn't just collect monies right for at the booth. He watches the cars. He goes around and makes sure that the tread on the tires isn't bald and that your tires are inflated enough. He's doing that because he cares for his family, and now he turns that care into purpose for others at work. Now imagine making that into a whole system at work, where suddenly by doing the loving thing, you're finding a higher purpose in what you're doing.
Yeah, we promised to share some real life examples with you, and probably one of the best known examples of an example that a company that does this. Just look at Patagonia, right? Their purpose being saving the planet, and they don't just sell outdoor gear so that people can go and enjoy the environment. Really, what they're trying to do is inspire environmental activism, right? When they put out their famous ad in the New York Times, "Don't buy this jacket," it's not some sort of weird reverse psychology that they were trying to do. It was really a statement they were making, right? And that statement ended up going viral, not because it was clever, but really because it really showed the conviction that they had and what they stood for.
And case in point about Patagonia, we have mentioned them so many times on the Bliss Business podcast. They're not paying us to mention them. They're not sponsoring the shows. But because they're so purposeful, they are a great example that we keep referencing. So it's the thing that keeps paying you. When you have purpose, other people talk about it too and become evangelists for you. So we're a perfect example in this show of how effective them having that purpose is, because we keep mentioning them.
Indeed.
Yeah, you will never get to a phrase, "Don't buy this jacket" in marketing unless you're living that purpose, right? And it just won't cross you're thinking buy this jacket all the time, right? And they're thinking about things differently. They're thinking about the planet and how they can, be a little bit more ecological in what they do. So think about this. So purpose isn't just differentiation. It's resonance. And we've said this before, in this world today, resonance is currency. What makes people choose your brand or love your brand or advocate your brand. It's what turns customers into evangelists.
And it matters so much more now than ever. There's so much noise across all spectrums of life. AI, war, deportalization, so much going on that it becomes so critical to have a clear purpose, because people are voting with their wallets. They're choosing brands that align with their values, and they're walking away from those that don't. So, more so than ever, you have to get this right today.
Yeah, and you really need to live by it. So like 86% of consumers say authenticity is key when deciding what brands they like and support. People are looking for brands that reflect who they are or who they want to become.
Yeah, so purpose, what is it? It is the North Star that guides every decision, right? Every message, every action. It should help you. This is what we're going to do, but this is also what we're not going to do. And the result of that is really the building of trust. And the trust, then starts to grow, right? That foundation of loyalty is built. And then when people believe, that is what you stand for, they're not just going to buy your product, but instead they're really going to feel like they're joining this movement, right? They're becoming part of the community.
And leading with purpose also means sometimes making bold moves that challenge the status quo. It's showing spine for what you believe in. And that takes courage. But purpose-led brands aren't chasing consensus. They're not cultivating, getting mass agreement with them. They're cultivating connection, and that connection serves a certain group of people. and not necessarily another group of people. And they're okay with that. So the brands that thrive are the ones willing to stand in their truth, even when it's not universally popular.
Yeah, look at Nike, right? With the Colin Kaepernick campaign, they took a stand and they risked backlash, but they went all in on their purpose, is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And yes, it was controversial, but it felt authentic to Nike, right? It resonated with their tribe, and of course, you do it right, it paid off for them. It's like $6 billion in brand value.
6 billion, right? With a B.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the real power of purpose, right? And it's not just about playing it safe necessarily, but it ends up being, about something that is real, right? And something that you want to stand for, even if it doesn't mean everyone's going to agree with you, because when you resonate at a really deep level, that emotional level, you start to inspire loyalty. And it really goes beyond the topic, right? It becomes, as we've talked about, a movement in time.
Yeah, and I think something people don't realize too is that this purpose isn't just for your customers. It transforms your workplaces. It turns jobs into callings. It turns employees into believers. It builds cultures that are not just productive, but meaningful. And we've talked about this stat over and over again. It's like about 80% of the workforce today is disengaged. And why is that? Well, if you're a big corporation and your sole purpose is to increase shareholder value, this is not anything that's going to resonate with your employees.
See, I'm so glad you mentioned, the retention rate, because it's such an enormous investment that companies make with their employees. And so LinkedIn, in fact, reported not too long ago that the companies that had strong sense of purpose in their organizations, their retention rates were 40% higher than the competitors that didn't. So employees definitely, they feel this connection. In fact, Deloitte also put out a study that the companies that have purpose and the employees really feel it are 3 times more likely in order to stay with their company. So again, purpose isn't just this sort of moral good that we want to achieve out of our business. It really is good for business.
I can personally attest to a lot of this research too. At Radical Purpose, we did a 2-year deep study into what creates highly engaged culture. And 2 of the 4 key things, the 4 key tenets, 2 of them were the desire to belong to something greater than yourself. And the second was to have meaning behind what you're doing. So when you are purposeful, people don't just, want to just show up to work. They want meaning behind what they do. And they want to feel like their work means something. So when employees understand how their role contributes to a bigger purpose, everything changes, because now they belong to something greater than themselves. There's meaning behind what they're doing. They show up differently. They stay longer, and they start to lead from within because it's personal. It's an extension of what matters to them. And that's when the culture becomes a competitive advantage. So it's not just a marketing effort. It's really living and being about it. That's what differentiates these brands. They're being about it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize like that part of it so much, is that it's almost kind of the secret to attracting, really top talent. A lot of times it builds teams who believe in the mission, right? And it creates workplaces where people don't just, work for a paycheck. They work for a purpose, and they work for meaning. And this is something most companies really struggle with, even though it may be all around them and they aren't even aware of it. But it's it's a huge problem. As I mentioned today, it's like 80% of the workforce is disengaged, and this is one of those tragedies that we just live with, and we're treating it as if it's normal. And I know the future of business, it's not going to be status quo like this anymore. So this is kind of the new paradigm, though. It's like high purpose, high impact. It's not just about selling more. It's about resonating deeper. It's about leading with something so real, so true, that people can't help but align with it.
Very true, Stephen. And it's really, the brands, the companies that are winning today, those are the ones that aren't just, building markets. They're really building movements behind the work that they're doing. But here's the challenge, right? How do you take your purpose and turn it into a marketing strategy that actually connects, that inspires, and starts to spread, right? So that's what we're going to be covering in the workshop coming down the road. It's our AICMO.io workshop.
Yep, that's right. So there's a process for this, a way to define your purpose, to integrate it into your messaging, and to create marketing that doesn't just convert, it inspires loyalty that lasts. So go to AICMO.io/workshop and sign up if you're interested.
Yeah, and right there, we'll break it down for you step by step. We'll show you how your business can do this the right way now, and why the most purpose-focused brands are also the most profitable.
And you know what? Purpose really makes the difference between being remembered and being forgotten. When you lead with it, your brand doesn't just compete, it connects. And that's where the real impact begins.
Yeah, and this isn't just theory, it's happening. And when you see how it all comes together, you'll understand why some brands just feel different and why others just kind of blend in to the noise. And like the example of the parking lot attendant, sometimes it's just a small paradigm shift that changes everything.
Very much so. Yep. So because once you start to really see this, you won't be able to unsee it, right? So go to AICMO.io/workshop. Register for it, and we'll be sending you out some more information. And if you aren't on the registration list, get on it. We don't want you to miss out.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in and listening and joining us on the show today. If this message resonated with you, share it with a leader who needs to hear it. And until next time, keep building love into scalable systems, because that's how we close this empathy gap that we're talking about. That's how we create movements. That's how we change things for the better. See you next time.